So, hello all. Hope everyone are being safe. So, before starting out with the session, I'd like to thank the web dev live team who provided the awesome opportunity for me to give a presentation. So, I'd like to introduce myself a bit before starting it out. So, I am currently working as a software engineer at Fokites with around 3 years of industry experience. And apart from my regular job, I'm an ambassador for GDG and WTM Chennai community, where sorry for the bad connection. So, yeah. So, apart from my regular job, I'm an ambassador for GDG and WTM Chennai community, where we conduct meetups, workshops, and coding jams around various technologies. And last but not the least, I love networking and coffee. So, without any further delay, let's get started with the session. So for today's session of understanding NgModules in Angular, we are going to cover the below topics as part of that. First, we will see about what NgModules are about. Then we will see why and when to use them and how to create the NgModule in an Angular application. And then we'll see about what are the different parts of NgModule. And then we'll see types of NgModule. So this is pretty much the agenda for today's session. So this session is a little intermediate. So it would be great if you all have a basic knowledge of what a component in Angular application is and how they communicate with each other and what is a service and how components consume data from services. This is like pretty much how an Angular application basic setup would be a prerequisite for this particular session. And also a note, this is an introductory session for NG modules, so we will not be covering in detail about all the aspects of the NG modules. So these are the prerequisites for this session. So let's get started. So what are NG modules? The main purpose of the NG module is to organize the complex relationship between the views such as components, directives, and the data providers such as services. This actually helps a developer to give a definition of the relationship between the components services in a single file, instead of declaring them in all the files separately. So if any Angular application, if you take, we have four types of files. They are components, directives, pipes, services. These are EX6 modules, which are scoped within that module. So which are very different from NG module, which are present in the Angular application. In Angular application, we will be grouping all these directives, pipes, and components and data providers together and give them a kind of relationship among them. So there will be a lot of modules and features available if you take any web application, right? So the application kinds of becomes really complex when it goes to the next level. So we are grouping them using NG modules. This is the main purpose of using NG modules. So next we will see how to create an NG module. So as you can see in this example, we'll be using the ng module decorator to create an ng module and also we'll be exporting that particular class. And in any Angular application, we have these four parts as said before. So, and if you see, components, pipe, and directives will always be grouped together under different properties of an ng module, like declarations, exports, and imports. And the services, which are injectors, which will be wrapped under a different component of an ng module. So now we will see what are feature modules. So we will be using the feature modules where the application is a complex application and we need to create submodules to make it more module. So we cannot create all the components and services and pipes together in a single file and export and import them and provide them to all the data source providers. So we will be dividing the entire application into different sub-modules and consume them in the feature module. So that's pretty much the feature module. So for example, if you see in this website template or any web application you take, there'll be different components associated with it, like a login, contact, and a main page. So we'll be dividing them into different modules and we'll be importing them into the main app module. So for with previous example, we can declare two modules like app and login and then import them in the main feature module. So next, we will see the metadata sessions available while creating NgModule. So this is the metadata for NgModule. And we will be looking at each of the properties in the coming slides. And in this example, as you can see, we will be importing the NgModule first from the Angular core library. And we'll be declaring with NgModule decorator. And we'll be having 5 different properties associated with NgModules like imports, providers, declarations, exports, and bootstrap. And finally, we'll be exporting this particular app module class to the other application. So we'll be seeing each one of these imports, providers, declarations, exports, and bootstrap in the coming slides. The first up is declarations. The declaration is a property where we will declare all the components, directives, pipes, which are privately available to that particular module. So if you take, for example, a login module, you'll be declaring all the components, pipes, and directives associated with that login module in the login app. So that's where the declarations come. Next is the exports. So if you want any of the components, services, or pipes present in a module, say module A, to be available in a module B, then we have to declare it in the exports property of the module. So this is based on the object-oriented programming concept where the components, directives, and pipes are by default private. And we need to add them in the export module to be usable by other modules. So all the exports property can be imported in a module by declaring them in the import section of the ng module. So the last one is the bootstrap property. We will be declaring the root component which is used to initially load our application by calling the component declared here. Usually the app component is the default component which will be declared here in any Angular application. Then at last, in the providers property, we provide all the data providers like services, are gods here. So here we'll be basically hitting all the APIs and get the data, and those kind of services will be added in the provider session. And this is the last module of a ng module. So these are the various properties that we can declare in ng module and declare a relationship between various component services and pipes required for a particular feature, easily using an ng module. So this kind of gives an abstract view for any application and to make it more scalable. So I know there are a lot of concepts to grasp on, but I will just summarize that all we discussed in short, and these are the key takeaways you can have from this talk. So first we saw what are NgModules. So they are basically helping a complex application to be organized and give a relationship between the views such as components, directives, and the data providers for a particular application. Then we saw how to create an NgModule using the NgModule decorator from Angular core. And also we saw the various properties of an NgModule like imports, exports, declarations, and providers. And these are the main takeaways I would like all you to remember when creating a complex Angular application. So thank you all for joining the session. This is pretty much the introductory concepts for NgModules. I hope you have got a basic idea of them and when to use it. And I would love to connect with you all in social media. I'm pretty active in LinkedIn and Twitter. So thanks all folks. So be safe and be kind to one another.